Good morning, good morning. This is Debbie with the Uptown Bug, and we're going to do a little shoe experiment. There's all kinds of ways that people talk about being able to remove marker and stuff from shoes. So I thought we'd try a few different ways and we can see what works best. This first pair of shoes has rubber soles and it has black marker on the bottom, and I'd like to get that off. So we're going to go through all of these things that people have suggested one at a time, and for the sake of the video, rather than spraying something on it, I'm just going to use a Q-tip so we can see what removes the marker the most efficiently. Okay, so quite a few people have mentioned acetone or nail polish remover. Basically, acetone and nail polish remover are the same thing. Acetone is just a stronger version of it. So let's see how this does. There's the nail polish remover. As you can see, it removes a little bit, but the mark is still clearly visible. So let's just try the stronger version of that. Go with the acetone and see how that does. I'll try it on a completely different spot. So the acetone, really it removes some. The mark is still clearly visible, so it's not much better than the straight nail polish remover. Alright, a lot of people mention hairspray. Let's give that a try. Sorry, I've got a trash can here. Okay, so I'm using Aussie hairspray. We'll try that. Doesn't do a thing. I mean, it removes a tiny, tiny bit, but it doesn't really make any impact on the color of the marker. What'll we try next? How about Goo Gone? Alright, this is the Goo Gone. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay. Let's see what our last couple of alternatives are. Okay, we'll try the lighter fluid. I've had pretty good luck with lighter fluid. I use it for cleaning dry clean fabrics and that kind of thing, and it works pretty good. We'll try that. Again, moves a tiny little bit, but not much. And our last thing we'll try is Goof Off. So this is not the spray, it's just a straight liquid version. I prefer this one. Try that. That removes the most, but the mark is still clearly visible. So I have a feeling that if I worked at it with the Goof Off, that would be the most successful. One other thing, hang on here. One other thing that people suggest is going over your marker spot with fresh marker, and then it'll be easier to remove. So let's try that. I'll get a Q-tip ready with the one that's worked the best, which is the Goof Off. We'll go over the marker so that it's fresh, and then see what that's done. No, it removes the fresh. It doesn't remove the old marker. So I think basically what we're going to have to do is use the Goof Off, work at it a little bit. It was the most effective at reducing the mark, and we'll go from there. Okay, now we have a pair of shoes that have a harder rubbery sole, but as you can see, they're quite dirty on the bottom. So I'm going to want to clean these up. This is just regular wear and tear dirt. Go to my favorite Goof Off and see what that does. as you can see, that completely cleans up the bottom of the shoe. So I would use a cotton makeup round and totally clean off the bottom of those shoes. Something else we see on shoes all the time, like these, it has sticky stuff on the bottom. I don't know if it's gum or what it is. This one's not bad, but this one has quite a bit. So let's go through all of these again and see what's going to remove that sticky stuff. It's a totally different beast than marker, so we'll see what that does. Okay, that's the problem. So the nail polish remover is removing the sticky stuff, but it's also removing a little bit of the color on the finish on the bottom of the shoes. And that's probably not a bad alternative if it works, as long as you get the whole area. You wouldn't want to leave parts uncleaned, because then the color is going to be different. I don't know if you can see it, but this has removed the kind of creamy color and it's a more pinky color underneath. So there's that option. The only problem with that is that when it removes the color like that, you've got a maker's mark and information stamped in the bottom of the shoe, and I'd hate to disrupt that. So if that did that, the acetone is going to be even worse. Let's try the Goof Off and see if that can remove some of the stickiness without removing the color. No, that is doing nothing whatsoever. So I'm not sure what it is that's stuck on the bottom of these, but it just takes a little bit of experimenting to work it out. Try the lighter fluid. That's not really doing much. I mean, it took a tiny bit, but not an appreciable amount. The way I think of these cleaners is acetone and nail polish remover are basically the same. This nail polish remover is just a weaker version of the acetone. The Goo Gone is its own entity, and the Goof Off and the lighter fluid are pretty much the same in what they do. Just the Goof Off is a stronger version of the lighter fluid. So just like this has a stronger and a weaker, this has a stronger and a weaker. So I'm going to go to my favorite, Goof Off, and let's see what that does. That is removing the sticky stuff and not removing the finish, which is pretty interesting. So, different applications, different stains and whatnot on the bottom of your shoes, different products. Sometimes you just have to rotate through the products, figure out which one you need to use, and then you're good to go. One other thing I would mention, I unfortunately have already cleaned them and sold them, but I had a pair of really expensive shoes that had this maker's mark on the bottom like this one does, and I wanted to preserve that. I wanted to be absolutely certain that I didn't disturb that in any way. So what you can do is add a piece of painter's tape that's either the blue or green masking tape, cover up your maker's mark, as long as you know it's pretty clean. Like this one has schmutz on it, I'm gonna have to go over that regardless. But if your maker's mark, which is normally higher up on the insole here, is good, it's pristine, put a piece of that tape over it, clean around it. There may be some little bit of discoloration, but the discoloration, when weighed against the overall appearance of the bottom of the shoe, is not a big deal. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to mention, if you've got really high-end shoes, and you're having a hard time cleaning them, one thing I would suggest is that on shoes like this will be quite a pricey pair of shoes. These are Italian handmade shoes. I'm going to want to clean the tops and put a clear shoe polish on them and buff them out so that they look really pristine. If you've got tiny spots, these ones are beige, so they would be pretty impossible to do. But if you've got black shoes, brown shoes, red shoes, and they need to, they have spots where there's scuffs and the color is completely gone, you can buy leather dyes. This is my messy leather dye kit. So these are all different color leather dyes, and then you also have to have the alcohol blending solution to weaken down your colors. So if you have a black that's not black, it's a step or two down, you would use your black ink dye or your black leather dye, blend it down a little bit, weaken it a little bit with the blending solution, and then very, very carefully apply it with a Q-tip or a tiny art type brush. It tends to be quite dark, so you have to experiment with it. I would use that as a last resort. You would have to be super careful or you're going to ruin the shoes. But if you have really high-end shoes and they're unsightly because of a couple of marks where the dye is completely gone, this could save the day. So I have a huge variety of colors. I have the blending solution. I would put a drop of the color, a little bit of the blending solution in a saucer, glass saucer, and then very, very carefully apply it. Then apply your clear shoe polish over it and buff it out. So hopefully that helps you. There's all kinds of ways to remove marker off soles. You're just going to have to experiment. Every pair of shoes is different. Every stain is different. But clean them up before you sell them. There's nothing worse than looking at disgusting dirty shoes for sale. Unless that's your thing. Anyway, this is Debbie, Uptown Bug. Have a fantastic day. Till next time. Bye-bye.